There are several ways to make this fabric rose on the chest of this dress, but in this tutorial, I'll be teaching you the easiest way that you can use to make a fabric rose like this. Depending on how big you want or how wide you want your rose to be, you'll be needing between 1 to 1.5 yards to achieve a rose like this. If you want to make two, if you're making one, between 1 yard to half yard is okay. So what I did was to fold my fabric in a triangular form depending on how wide you want it to be. For me, I used length of 24. After folding my fabric on bias, like a 45-degree flay, the next I did was to mark out the length, and for the length I used length of 24. If you want to measure out the length, you have to start from the up, like the pointy part. That's where you place your one, and the 24 I used is because of the size I was trying to achieve. If you want your fabric roast to be smaller than the size you saw at the initial stage of this tutorial, you don't have to use up to 24, you just have to use something smaller than 24. And if you want it bigger than the size you saw at the initial stage of this tutorial, then you have to make it more than 24. So after marking out the length I used, which was 24, I proceeded to cutting it out. From the whole of my fabric, I cut two out because I made two roses. If you want to make one, you just have to cut one depending on the number of fabric rows that you want to make. If you want to make four, you just have to cut four. But each triangle like that will make you just one rose. After cutting it out, what you will do next is to turn. So you'll be turning that side where the joining is, the opened part. One part will be opened and the other one will not be opened. So that part that is open, you join it right side. That part my finger is touching upward. You stitch it right side facing right side, and then you flip it to the right side when you are done stitching, and you will now run gather stitch across the circular part of it. You run gather stitch across the circular part of it, and then you gather it. And the size that you gather it into depends on where you are stitching these rows on, like the width, how wide it will be. It depends on how wide where these rows will enter is. So if your circle, that like as in the part where you want to stitch these rows on, is like 9 inches wide altogether, or 6 inches, you just have to gather the rows into 6 inches wide or 9 inches wide. I hope my explanation is clear. Then after gathering it and stitching my rows on one side of the bust, this is what it's looking like. You can see how beautiful it came out. Then I'll be using the other side to show you how to stitch it on your dress, on whatever part of your dress that you want to stitch it. It's not only the bust that you can use these rows on, you can use it on any part of the dress. It's just that in my case I stitched it on the bust, and you can make this rows in any size of your choice. It might not necessarily be as wide as this, and at the same time you can make these rows wider than this. All you just have to do is follow the instructions that I gave at the initial stage of this tutorial. Now to fix this fabric rows on the other side of the bust, I had to place my mannequin like this so that my camera range can cover everything. So the first thing I did was to mark where the rows will enter, because I want the rows to like kind of overlap the second one. So depending on where your rose is entering, just mark it, put a mark across where your rose is entering so that it will be a guide for you, because it's needle and thread I'll be using to stitch it. So when you are done doing this, pick the pointy part of your rose, just like as I'm doing. Pick the pointy part and put it on the middle of where your rose is entering. A rose like this, where it will be entering will be somewhere like the shape you have drawn has to be like a circle, a circular shape. So pick the center of that circle, and then that's where you'll be stitching that pointy part of the rose first. So once you've gotten the center, it has to be the center so that it's not tilting towards one side, except you want it to tilt towards a particular side. So if not, just locate the center, then pick up your needle and thread, and you'll be tacking the pointy part of the rose on the center of the circle where the rose is entering. So when you are done securing that center, you now go back to the tip of the rose, which was the place that you gathered. So the place where you ran your gather stitch is where you will locate next, and then is where you will tack next. You will tack it on that circle, the exact size of the circle, you will tack it there. And please, when you are tacking it, let it be very, very firm so that it's not falling off in no time. My name is Oluwatosin, in case it's the first time you are seeing my tutorial, and you're welcome. To all my returning subscribers, you're also welcome. Thank you so much for always being here. To all my returning subscribers, and in case this is your first time here, please consider subscribing, and don't just subscribe, turn on the notification bell so that YouTube notifies you next time I upload a new tutorial on my channel. Now you can see the way I'm tacking the part where I gathered on the circle. I'm tacking it on the exact circle. On the circle that I've drawn, that's where I'm tacking it. So after tacking the middle and the place that I've gathered, this is what your fabric rows should be looking like at this point. So it's from here that you now start pleating it layers by layers, starting from the down to the up. You start from down and then to the up. You keep making your layers depending on the size that you want. You can decide the size you want at this point. You can decide how wide you want each layer to be. So just make your layers you tack. Is it can be kind of time taking, because for one layer you can tack in like 6 to 8 to 10 places for one layer. Just look for some strategic places for one layer, and then you will tack. Pick another layer, tack, using your hand to arrange it layer by layer, and then you keep tacking till you get to that middle where you tapped initially. If at this point you are still here and you've not subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe, and don't just subscribe. Turn on the notification bell so that YouTube will notify you when next time I upload sewing tutorials on this channel. Because on this channel I upload sewing tutorials on daily basis. Just as I've mentioned earlier, there are several ways to achieve this fabric rules, and this is one of the methods. In my next tutorial, I'll be uploading another method that you can use to achieve these fabric rules. Stay tuned for that tutorial if you're interested in watching. The link to it will be down in the description box of this particular one. So after all being said and done, this is the outcome of my fabric rose. It's so beautiful, easy to make, and this rose transforms your dress from 0 to 100. Thank you all for watching. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it is helpful to you, please don't forget to say it down in the comment section, and also don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you have any question, please ask me down in the description box. Then I made a detailed tutorial on how I was able to cut and sew this black dress itself. If you are interested in watching that tutorial, please click on the box on the right side of your screen, and the link to it will also be down in the description box. Please click on it to watch the tutorial on how to sew this dress. You can click on the box on the right, and you can click on the box on the left. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.